Welcome back to the MVM Show. I'm your host, Titus, and I've got some stuff to talk about with you. Let's give him something to talk about. Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the 28 gauge and the pattern process and the details that you're not seeing in the video. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, it's on the Mid-Valley Mercenaries YouTube channel. I did with the Jimmy Muller choke tube, and with the passing choke, and the decoy chokes are sold out, so that is why I did with the passing. But it's funny thing is, and I'll tell you here in a minute and give you all the details, is that really that worked out exactly what I wanted for that gun, and actually even better. So anyways, before we get started in this episode, guys, I wanted to tell you that put in the code if you guys want to try these chokes. It's money back guarantee. If you don't like it, not happy with the pattern, you guys can send it back and get your money back. And you have 60 days. And 60 days is not from the point of purchase. It is from when you first shoot it. So if you buy it now and then you don't hunt with it for 2 months, you still have 60 days, okay? In other words, Jimmy's basically saying at any point you're not happy with it unless you've had it for a year or something and you've been put, 5,000 rounds through. That might be a little different, but the point is you ain't going to return it, okay? More than likely. There might be a couple out there of guys that have or, got a problem or bug up their sleeve, but all around the industry, it's just more and more people are realizing how good his chokes are. And I was told by maybe someone listens to this podcast, maybe 2-3 years ago, I heard of him, but I didn't recognize it, so I just kind of didn't research and look into it. Because back then, you're like, it doesn't really matter. It's not that big of a deal, But knowing what I know now and caring about what I care about now, which I wish I would have cared about sooner, it is what it is. I am 40 now. Maybe with age, you lose beauty and gain a little bit of wisdom. I don't know. But anyways, regardless, if you guys are interested in buying his chokes and you've already been thinking about it or you're waiting for him to come back in stock, like the 28 gauge Benelli Ethos Cordoba chokes, the Cryo Plus chokes are actually going to be coming back in stock for the 28 gauge, I think next week. That's what I thought. I thought it was this week or next week. I thought it was this week, but I haven't even looked on the site. I know people are chomping that bit to get them. Guys, everything will be on the site, fully stocked by the time duck season starts. That's from Jimmy Muller's mouth telling me that. So anyways, if you guys want 10% off, you can put in the code MVM2024 and get 10% off. I don't believe there's anybody that offers that discount. So get it while you can. I don't know how long it's going to last, honestly. I hope it's a long-term partnership, but you never know. So I know I'll still be shooting it. The discount code, I don't know how long that's going to last. We're actually we got plans in December, and there's a plan next year coming up that Jimmy's invited me to out of country. And boy, am I ever wanting to go on that. I'm going to beg, borrow, steal, try to make that happen. So we'll find out more about that later. I don't want to talk too in depth about it if I don't even know if I'm going. I was just trying to see if I can make it happen for it. So anyways, I'm privileged that he would invite me because he's not just inviting anybody. So it means a lot to me. But let's get into it. The 28 gauge, my favorite gun, the gun that I shoot the best with. That being said, I haven't shot out a lot of till with it. So that does knock your accuracy numbers down. It's more of a specialized gun I'm using, so that's probably part of it. And actually, that being said, before we get into this process that I went through, Elliot told me from Freelance Duck Hunting, his North American Waterfowler app that I been using for, I think 4 years now, maybe 5, that I track my duck numbers, my shooting averages. He's now going to make it to where you can click on 12, 20, 28, 4, 10 gauge to see what your shooting percentages are with that. So I'm super stoked. I know he's probably been thinking about that, and it costs money to do all that, but when I heard that, I was pretty excited because I really do want to see. I know it because I kind of track it myself on the side and think about how many shells I'm shooting. But anyways, one more thing I want to actually approach before I start this all the way is there has been a tiny minuscule group of people that's saying they podcast audio, they have to crank up the volume super high to hear it. So I did a deal on Instagram that tells you like people can vote on whatever and like say if they can or can't hear it. And really hardly there was nobody that couldn't. So what I kind of realized after doing my research and talking to some people is I don't know if it's the phone themselves causing the people the problems, but I know it's not the podcast. It might even be the platform, say like if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, maybe people's phones need updates or something like that, because 90% of people said they're not having any issues. But it seemed like there was a small handful saying, yeah, just recently. And it was all the people that said they're having a problem was all around the same time. So something's going on with the app is what I'm thinking. It's got to be some glitch and maybe an update they need to do to fix that for you guys. So I apologize for that. But it's been the same ever since I started. I haven't changed no levels. And like I said, when I test it on my phone or truck or whatever, when I see my levels, like, because I like to check and make sure, okay, does this thing sound good or did I mess something up? I can't turn it up very loud because it's like it always has been. It's got plenty of volume. So anyways, and I guess other people on other podcasts, those same people are hearing it on others too. And so I know it's not multiple people all of a sudden. It's the app. So apologize for that, but sorry, you're going to have to crank it up for a while until the app developers get that fixed. So let's get into this. So I've been dying to do this 28 gauge choke test. I'm going to tell you a little back history here. So I'm definitely getting in the behind the scenes that probably a lot of people won't even tell you or mention because they just don't want people knowing. But I'm not your typical YouTube guy because I'm just a regular blue collar dude that works and does this on the side for the fun of it. But when I went out so what I did probably 2 months ago, I went out and I took the choke that was already in my 28 gauge, the improved modified, because I started with a full shooting golf balls with the heavy 12 and the 28 gauge. And I was like, this is too tight. So I put in, because I'm used to shooting bismuth, right? And it opens up a lot quicker. The heavy 12 is a tungsten alloy, so it's hard as a rock. So it's 12 grams, 12.1 versus 9.7, which bismuth is. So bismuth is way softer. So anyways, I took the improved modified that I've been shooting, and I wanted to compare it to the passing. Because I kind of felt in my mind like that's got to be pretty close. Like the decoy would be more open, which is what I shoot in my 20 gauge. But I wanted something a little tighter for this gun. Okay, that's just my preference. So I went out there. I filmed. My goal was to film 2 videos, which that's hard for me to do time-wise, right? I'm like stoked. I'm like, dude, I got 2 videos done. Well, on the second video, something went south, okay, for me. So let me explain. So the first video I did the factory choke, and I'm like, okay, this pattern actually looks pretty good. Now I can see why I'm killing birds, killed that Eurasian as far as I did, and just stoning birds. Anyways, not to mention the ammo's one of the best parts, but the choke was decent, especially for a 28 gauge. I mean, there's only like 220 pellets in one shell, a 3-inch shell, give or take. So, so then I'm like, cool, that's not bad, but I guarantee Muller's gonna fix it, right? So I throw in the Muller choke, and this is what I didn't do, what I didn't say in the video. And I'm not trying to hide it or nothing. I was just, otherwise I won't be saying it on here, but I was just, I wasn't thinking, I probably was rushing. I did not shoot that gun, and it irritates me even saying this, that I did this. I did not shoot that gun without the choke in it at the 15 yards to make sure the barrel was good, or the shims, right? So I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I just trusted it because I'm like, man, I shot that one on paper with the factory choke, and I'm like, dude, this thing's already dialed. I don't need to shim it or nothing. It's good to go. Just remember that every choke is going to cause your gun to shoot different. It could shoot high and left. The next choke could shoot low. The next one could shoot right, dead center. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I never understood. I in the past, I just thought they all shoot in the middle, except for the shimming part, right? But it's a shotgun. There's a lot of BBs. I'll hit him with something, with some pellets. Well, that's It's really not a good way to think, but whatever. Each to his own. So anyways, I did not do the most crucial part. Like a dummy. I did it with my 20 gauge, and I'm going to do it with my 12. Why did I not do it with my 20? I have no idea why I did that. Maybe I was being lazy. So anyways, I'm done with that one. It doesn't need to be shimmed up. It's a 50-50 pattern. So why would my next choke not be, right? So come to find out, I put the Muller passing in and went to my 20. Well, it's weird too, and I messed this up. I don't know if anybody caught this in the video, but I believe I shot at 25 yards the first time. Okay. And it was shooting low. And the pattern and the amount of BBs on there, even though it was shooting low, so all of it was inside the 30 inch at 25 because it's so close, was unbelievable. Absolutely blew the improved modified out of the water. I mean, just absolutely crushed it. But I was noticing it was a little low. I want to say it was a 45-55. If I remember right from the video, it was 45-55, meaning it wasn't a 50-50 pattern snare and punched. It was a hair low, which is very rare. Most guns shoot a little bit high, it seems like. So I was like, huh. And I think I called Jimmy, and I was like, what do you think? He's like, actually, I like that. But he goes, it probably is going to be a little more, it's going to be a little worse when you get back to 40. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll test it, check it out. So I didn't want no 40-60, 45-55 at 40 yards. I'm okay with that, but I didn't want no 40-60, and I don't want no 60-40. I want 50-50, maybe 55-45, something like that, okay? Maybe just a skosh high, even a little bit low, but not way low or not way high. So I go back to 40, and sure enough, I think I was 43/57 as far as my pattern. So it was actually quite a bit low. And the sad thing is a lot of those pellets at the 40-yard mark were outside of the 30-inch circle, and then it was empty in the top quadrant, which is proving, right, that it was shooting even more low at 40 yards, obviously. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, that being said, I didn't really want to put that video out because, first off, I didn't want to deal with all the comments of people, which I'm sure a lot of people would have been like, oh, you just need to shim your gun. But I was starting to think in my head, like, is this the choke? You know, like, I wanted to do more research. I wanted to talk to Jimmy after that. Be like, what's the deal here? So then I'm like, you dummy, I did all this work and I did not shoot it without the choke in. Maybe that is it. So now I'm kind of not losing sleep, but I'm sitting there thinking in the back of my head, like, okay, is this the choke? So I called Jimmy. You know what he does? He sends me two more passing chokes, 28 gauge, and says, try these and maybe it's the choke. I mean, I'm sure he didn't think it was really his choke, but I failed to mention to him that I did not shoot without a choke in period at 15 yards to check the barrel and the fit and all that stuff. He don't even ask no questions. He just sends it. And I'm like, okay, that's probably what it was then. Then I think it's almost like that's when it dawned on me that I didn't do that. And I was like, oh, I don't have the heart to tell Jimmy. Well, I did end up telling him. And he kind of laughed and he's like, well, let's do it, see what you get. So I did have the new chokes, which I'm sending back because I don't need it. It wasn't the choke. So now, and I hope this even interests you guys because I'm hoping it helps somebody by what I'm saying, because maybe you've done this and you're like, oh, now that explains maybe why I've been doing that. That's why I'm sharing this with you. I know it's a whole episode, but I think it's very interesting if you're into this type of stuff. Because it's not just 20 gauge, it's any gauge, right? So I get those new chokes in, and I get the motivation to go do this video, redo it, I should say. And I go out there, and now I'm going to video the whole thing. So now, I think when you see me go shoot, I can't remember how I started that video out. I think I started a fresh slate. So I went out there, took the choke out. There was no choke in it, right? Zero, which is totally okay. You do not have to shoot a choke in your gun. It's not going to ruin the threads. So I take it out, go to 15 yards. I shoot, don't quote me, 3 to 5 shots. I can't remember, somewhere in there. And guess what? Who would have thunk it was low? So then I'm like, oh, I need to shim this gun and get this fitted right for me. And you want to know something sad, folks? I've never done that with any shotgun I've ever owned. And the funny part is probably the majority of people haven't. I don't know if it looks intimidating or you got to keep shooting it and you got to put it on paper to know, right? I think that's why so many people don't do it. Jimmy was talking about the percentage of people that don't do it, and it's like, that's why. Because none of us normally go out and pattern our gun. We just do what we do. And it's like, it's kind of sad because if I look back over the years of my shot cams, and I would see where the bead is, and I'm like, why am I overshooting high? Now, that being said, that might be my bad habit individually, is just a tendency to shoot over the birds, which I think is. But it's just interesting, like, I wonder how much of that I would have eliminated by, fixing that. Actually, that's what helped me put that taller bead on my A5 is just a quick fix. I put a taller bead on it, which would drop my front end of my barrel to shoot lower. And that's when I stopped. That's when I started shooting better. I mean, getting better accuracy, I should say. Shooting percentage was up, and just so on and so forth. So the shot cam's a huge tool, guys. I mean, it really. I know it's expensive, but man, it'll increase after one season and watch your videos and seeing what you do wrong. It'll definitely help you. But anyways, so it was shooting low. I'm like, oh, here we go. Well, I didn't have time to finish it that day. So then I go home, shim it. I shimmed it wrong. I went the wrong way. It shot even lower. I was so frustrated. I was like, what is going on here? Watching these videos, doing my research, which now it's like you learn once, now you'll know forever because you did it the hard way, right? So then I shim it, put it on there, video, and boom. I mean, money pattern. And it is basically like, so I'm looking at right now. These were the old ones. These were the old videos. Let me go. This is when it was shooting too low. So my C shim was in there. And I end up going to a... oh, man. I don't even want to misquote this because... oh, here it is. Okay, so I went... I had a C in there. Came from the factory. Excuse me. I put a in there, which actually would make it shoot higher, actually really high, way high, and it would change the sight picture. But see, what I was doing, guys, we got to think about this. It may not make sense listening to it, but if you could see me, okay, looking down a barrel, right? Let's just no bead, no rib, no nothing. Just look, try to meet the barrel to the flush down where you're looking down the top of that barrel all the way down, right? Well, the bead does, that's where you aim and everything, but the shim is not for you to always move your head to look down the rib of the gun. Otherwise, you're always looking down the rib of the gun. So it was like a light went off. I'm like, you are so stupid, Titus. Like, how? You did geometry, you did algebra 2, you graduated honors. Yeah, maybe you didn't go to college, but are you that stupid? It was like, I don't know why that was not clicking in my head. And that's when I realized, so I put the A shim in, which would have made it shoot, who knows, like a 70-30, like way high. It would not have worked. And what I'm doing is, because I adjusted it, and I'm now, because I put an A in, which is way too much, I'm shouldering the gun naturally. Close your eyes, throw it to your shoulder, look on it. I'm looking like straight at the top of the rib. I'm not even looking down the barrel now. You know what I mean? I'm not looking down flush with the rib. I'm looking straight in the center of the rib. And I'm like, okay, this is uncomfortable. I have to get my head down lower. I got to really get down here to look down it. Is anybody's lights going off in their head? Is anybody laughing at me because you think how stupid I am? Or is some of you thinking, I didn't know that? There has to be some of you out there, because if you've never shimmed your gun, because I guess I'm thinking a lot like archery or a bead. If you put a smaller bead in, you got to raise the front of your gun. So if you put a smaller bead on your gun, you know what I mean? You're going to raise your gun to meet the target. to touch it. If you put it underneath it, if you float it, if you put it in the center of the bird, whatever you do. If you put a taller bead, you got to lower your gun. I'm thinking of the front end of the gun, not just where the buttstock adjusts. It was like a light went off. I'm like, you big dummy. So I went back to my house, waited a whole nother day to finish this video. And again, I would have not known none of this stuff if I wouldn't have been putting it on paper. So I learned something majorly. It cost me several shells. But anyways, I shimmed it back to B. So C was come from factory. I went to A. Then I realized it was way too much. And then I stuck the B in there. And guess what? Money. The pattern was money. I just needed to shim it up one. So, so for like Browning or Benelli, on the swing gauge, it works B plus DX plus BDX. So there's actually 3 shims. So there's the shim, the metal. It's like the metal shim that goes, if you take the buttstock pad off, inside there's a nut. And then you take that off, and then that metal, thick kind of metal plate has a letter on it, right? Mine had C. I changed it to BDX, which B is that one. And DX is for right hand and SX is for left-handed shooters. Just, you probably won't remember this, but I'm just telling you, if you do have a Benelli, I don't know how, I think a lot of other guns work that way too. It's a foreign thing. It stands for something. I don't know if it's French or what, but it actually stands for something. So DX is right-handed shooter, SX is left-handed shooter. So you don't want to get that mixed up. You'll know if you do, though. Honestly, you'll feel weird, but if you're a right-handed shooter and you put a left one in. But anyways, so I put the B on in the back. Take it off, pull off the old shim, the metal thick one, and against the chamber, the back side of it is a plastic shim. And these got to match. Like, you can't use opposite ones on it. And then there's 2 actually. So there's a paper thin one, and then the other one that has the angle on it. So you slap that up. I put a B, then I put another B, which is just flushes it. Then you slide the buttstock on. Then you slide the other B metal plate one down in there, and then you put the nut on, tighten it up. And you don't want to over tighten that, really, is what Benelli says on their video. You just get it tight, snug, and then just one little tiny lock it in there. And you're good to go. Jimmy at first thought it was the barrel nut. I guess they're saying some things about people over tightening their barrel nut on the fore end of the gun, which could cause that to shoot low, I guess, a little bit. But anyways, it wasn't that. Now, that being said, I could see how that could happen, because when I was tightening, I was looking, I was like, I could see where that does that. So I kind of didn't have mine as tight. If anybody's listening has that gun on a 20 gauge or 12 or 28, you don't over tighten that. You can leave it a lot looser than you think, actually. So anyways, did that, and guess what I had? I had a let me see here, I'm looking at my paper. For 20, which I messed this up. I should have shot at 25, because I feel like with that type of choke, it was too close at 20 yards. But anyways, I had a 54/46. So I am getting closer to a 60/40, which is not really what I was fully wanting to do. But I definitely feel like I don't want a gun shooting lower. I really don't. So it's not a 60/40, but it's close. So it's right what I was telling you. It's kind of in that middle range between a 50 and a 60 on either side of the spectrum. So amazing pattern. Check this out. In the 30-inch circle at 25 or 20 yards, it was only like 3 and 4 pellets in each quarter section inside the 30. Everything was inside that 20-inch circle. Okay, at 20 yards. Now, on the 40-yard shot, I was getting 100, and I think I almost want to redo that again, because I feel like, I don't know if I miscounted or something, because now I'm like, did I shoot 5 shells? I might have only shot 4. But regardless, with a 28 gauge, I'm getting 133 pellet average with the 28 gauge. That's crazy. Thomas's 20 gauge wasn't even getting that on his regular gun. So we're going to do his too, and probably Harrison's actually, and maybe Travis's. Travis has a a Benelli Benchy. So we got to do his. I got to do my A5. We got to do some of Harrison's guns and Tom's. We might try UFO in his for the bismuth, just out of curiosity to see, because bismuth opens up so much. But anyways, at 40 yards, my pattern was 57/43. And looking at this paper, it's like, that's where I want it. Like, if I aim that bird, that's exactly where I want my pellets to hit. It looks so good, guys. So that was a process. I hope my jabbering and yabbering somehow like made sense to you guys, and like maybe opened your eyes about something, or made you think maybe I better pattern my gun and see what's going on, because you don't know. You're in the blind. And I wonder how many people out there is guns are shooting too low or shooting really high, because Benelli's is known for that. They're known for shooting high. In fact, Jake's gun, he has the Franchi Affinity, and his is shooting like really high. So I want to help him. We're going to help him shim his gun and test that out. So yeah. So anyways, so we're going to get that dialed in. I want to help everybody. Now it's like, man, if I could help you get more dialed in and confident in your shooting and your aiming point, that's what I want to do. So, man, I don't know. I'm starting to think of all these things we could video when I'm with Jimmy Muller. It's like, I want to film so many videos with him. I want to film, shimming your gun. And yeah, we can't film for every brand and every make and model, but we can do it to get the general idea. There's not really a lot of stuff out there. And so, I don't know, maybe I should just do it on mine. But anyways, so I just want to talk about that. Oh man, my goodness, guys. Anyways, bottom line is this pattern blew the improved modified factory choke out of the water. It's like blew it out of the water. I think I was getting like 115, 110, something like that with the factory one. I mean, that's still decent for a 28 gauge. I'd be happy with that, but why not get another 20 some pellets inside that 30-inch circle? And if you're closer than that, it's inside the 20-inch circle. You know what I'm saying? So 20 more is better, right? Like, we're always looking to be better, and I don't know if that's going to ever be being. That's pretty amazing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is worth your while to listen to. I really feel like this could help somebody. Let me know if it does. Give a video a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching the podcast on there, or comment below and say, this was confusing, or dude, that helped me, or man, you kind of motivated me to get out there and pattern test my gun. I've been lazy for far too long, I don't know. Let me know. I feel like this could help people, but maybe I'm out in left field. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for everything you do, your guys' support. If you guys want, again, if you want to get the Muller chokes, put in the code MVM 2024, all one word, at checkout, and you'll get 10% off. We'll see you guys in the next one.